Loco. Yes, sir. What's good, everybody? Maxy The Great. Today, we back with some IMR scary tales. Look, man. Look at the description down below, of course. 3 creepy place horror stories, animated, brother. You know how these go. We're gonna go ahead and jump straight into it. Let's start it.
There was an old abandoned building near my house. Typical. I know.
And you gonna
Anyways,
explore it.
there were hundreds of rumors and stories about this building. Some normal, some insanely out of this world. Some used to say an insane maniac lived in there and tortured anyone who entered. I've even heard that it's a portal to another dimension where nightmares come to life.
I don't know about all that.
The only consistent bit of knowledge was that whoever went in never came back.
But that's a good reason not to go.
My best friend Samuel and I were huge enthusiasts when it came to anything supernatural or even remotely strange, so we decided to check it out.
All these stories, possibly somebody in there torturing people, a portal to another dimension where nightmares come true. We decided to go explore it.
Since the latest disappearances, cops have been patrolling the area during the day.
And people have been disappearing, going into there. You want to explore? Come on, bro. Come on, you gotta be smart with your life, bro. You gotta be. That's like me playing Russian roulette, man. No, I'm not about to play with my life, man. I love my life too much to be playing with it, man. Ain't no way I'm not
trying to
do that.
prevent anyone from getting in, so we had to wait till night. At about 10:30, he came over to start preparing the gear.
That's even worse.
We made sure to pack some food, warm clothes,
Man, when at night.
and my handgun, in case there was a homicidal maniac living there. We left the house around 11:30 to 12ish.
They about to spend the
and
night?
arrived at the building a couple of minutes later. The second we step out of the car,
They're doing everything
I
wrong.
noticed an unusual eerie fog surrounding the building. Seeing that it was wintertime, the fog wasn't new to the area, so I didn't think much of it at the time, other than it was extremely thick. We grabbed our gear and headed inside. The door was locked, so we had to break a window to get inside. We threw our stuff in,
Making noise.
then climbed into the building. The worst mistake of my life.
Yeah, I know.
If I could go back in time, I would have never stepped foot in that hellhole.
And left the car on? Running
The first
gas?
thing I noticed inside was how abnormally dark it was. Though we had LED flashlights, they didn't do much help seeing in front of us. We had about 3 feet range of vision, but we decided to explore anyways. Samuel was holding the camera and switched to night vision, but even that didn't do much good.
Dang.
I was holding the flashlight and had my hand close to my gun in case some deranged psychopath attacks from the darkness. As we reached the center of the building, I noticed a smell. Not a nice smell. I'm not quite sure how to describe it.
A smelly
It had a
smell.
metallic tinge to it.
That smells
and
smelly.
slightly burnt my nose with each inhale. What's that smell? I don't know. It's hard to guess. We followed a long stretch of hallway that led to an open area. The big wall of that room was a huge hole that created a direct entrance into the house from the woods. Vines and saplings were growing all over the floor, ceilings, and walls as well.
You about to go in
For
there?
a moment, I felt like we had stepped into a wildlife sanatorium. As I flashed my LED light on the hole in the wall, my eyes started getting blurry and my hands started shaking. The flashlight started flickering. Samuel tripped over something and the camera flew out of his hand. It slid a couple of feet, then fell somewhere in the room, shattering into pieces.
Dang.
We knew it was beyond broken,
It's time to
so
go,
we didn't
bro.
even bother trying to get it. We turned the flashlight to the ground to try and figure out what Samuel had tripped over. As the light showed the ground, my heart stopped in fear. A dead deer was lying on the floor. It was torn apart. The body had been chewed on, clawed.
Damn, bro, what animal chewing on a deer like that? That's some big incisions right there, bro. It's time to go. It's time to go, bro. It's so many red flags, so many signs that you shouldn't be in there, and you going in there, bro. You still living and breathing. You still got a chance to get out of here, bro.
At and ripped up.
Seriously.
Blood was all over the floor. I immediately recognized the smell. So, it was blood all this time, but the smell was too pungent to have been from one deer. Taking a closer look at the floor, I noticed the blood is smeared all over the floor. Not only that, there were prints in the blood. almost like hands, but the fingers were too long. By long, I mean almost a foot in length, and they were pointed at the tip, almost like talons. The prints were everywhere, on the floor, on the walls, and even a few on the ceiling. Oh my God, is this some kind of animal? I strongly believe we shouldn't be here, man. Yeah, but don't you want to know?
No.
Saying this,
bro, there's a dead deer in the handprint is a foot long. No Subway, no $5 foot. The thing is a foot long. What human do you know that has a handprint that's a foot long, man? It's time to get out. A deer with a big chunk of his meat, a chunk of his flesh is gone. It's time to get out.
Samuel started to follow those freaky handprints. The prints all seemed to lead to one room. The door to the room was barely hinged.
Bloody up.
And the knob was completely torn off. My heart was racing. What the hell is in there? No animal could have done this. No living creature had prints like this.
Yeah.
Shh, keep quiet. Samuel was confused by curiosity, and before I could stop him, Samuel pushed the door open. What we saw still haunts me to this day.
Oh.
Piles and piles of bodies, some still intact, others dismembered beyond recognition.
That ain't too bad.
Some animal parts were unmistakably human. The blood on the floor was about an inch high. There were the same prints on the wall and the ceiling. Suddenly, we heard footsteps inside the room.
Whoa.
And I realized we weren't the only ones here. Did you hear that?
Sound like he's dragging something.
Someone behind us? No, I think it's above us. My heart sunk right at that point. Samuel was right.
Go.
With shaking hands, we both flashed our lights to the ceiling and froze in terror. A man was crawling on the ceiling, except he looked too disfigured to be called a man.
What is that?
His head was bigger than his body, and he had long, pointy fingers that pointed into sharp claws. The creature had no skin, and we could see its veins and muscles popping out like a nightmare.
You gone.
The scariest part was his eyes. There was no pupil in them, just red, plain eyeballs.
I would have pooped on
The
myself.
creature let out a demonic scream, opening its huge mouth, and we ran for our lives, screaming like hell.
It took
We
you
could
this
hear the
long?
running footsteps of the creature behind us. Whatever it was hungry for our blood. Run, Chris, run! I was about to jump out of that broken window when I heard Samuel scream.
I don't like the voice.
I turned around and saw that devil had grasped him by the neck.
Time to go.
It looked at me and smiled, showing its huge teeth. Samuel dangled into the air as the creature held him above the ground.
He's gone,
And
bro.
before I could do
Run.
anything, it snapped my friend's neck like a twig.
Oh!
Saliva dripped from its ugly, horrifying mouth as it started to devour him.
Run!
I couldn't wait anymore because I knew he would come for me
Facts.
once he is done with Samuel. I ran home and stormed into my parents' bedroom, covered in sweat and tears. I told them everything that happened.
Ran into him over there clapping cheeks. But why he ain't going to the car? He said he ran all the way home. Unless he turned the car on. Why would you leave the car on and not turn it off? You ran up all the gas. Now you had to walk home, run into your mom, your dad. Well, probably the mom clapping the dad cheeks. She probably had the strap on that time. I don't know. But bro, so many signs, bro. So many red flags to not go into the abandoned building. You go at night. People's missing. They don't come back. You see a demon thing with no skin, no pupils. You see blood, dead animals, heaps and piles of bones and bodies. Man.
They called 911. Cops came and called for backup once they discovered all those bodies and the bloody scene inside the house. Samuel was never found, and out of agony,
He's dead.
locals burnt the house to the ground. The cops ruled Samuel's case under the missing persons category, and no one believed me when I told them about this creature.
He's dead.
A few years after this incident, I found out shocking information about that place. It is said that many years ago, during the time of the Russian sleep experiment, something similar was conducted in that house. It happened to be a prison for refugee criminals. I don't know if what I saw was real or not, but I'm definite some twisted science experiment created this creature that still lurks in those woods behind our house.
Yes, listen, man, if you know something's up, something ain't right, the hairs stand on top of your skin, your body, that's a good reason to not do what you about to do, bro. Why would you want to play with your life like that, man? If you want to get some thrills of some horror stuff, do what I'm doing, bro. Watch it online in the safety of your own home with multiple lights on running up your light bill. Don't go out into the field for real. That's like if you interested about that gang life, go ahead, get on the computer, go to YouTube and look up gang documentaries. Don't go jump off the porch, pick up a gun and start shooting. Don't sell the drugs that's going to be destroying the community, that's going to land you a couple years in jail. And now you have a felony on your record. Come on, bruh. Come on, bruh. Come on, bruh. Hey, you had it coming, man. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Do you believe that being curious is good or bad? After that day,
bad,
I know
mostly.
where the saying "curiosity killed the cat" comes from. I was in high school when this happened. One day, I discovered that not far from my house, there was an abandoned building. Recently, it had become popular among the students to go to abandoned places and explore them. Besides, I thought that later I would have an interesting story to tell that would make me look like a cool person. Excited, I told my friends, Ethan, Christopher, and Matthew, and tried to convince them to go with me. At first, Ethan didn't want to come with us, but finally he agreed. Perhaps he didn't want to miss out on that experience. Anyway,
he didn't want to miss out on losing his life? What? Man, tell my son he want to explore an abandoned building so he can have a cool story, bruh. Bruh, just lie. Just lie. If you want to tell a cool story, just lie, bruh. Just lie. Just, come on, man. Exaggerate something.
We agreed to go the next day after classes ended. Walking to the place was a bit tiring, as the building was quite deep in the forest, but we managed to get there after a half an hour. The place left us speechless.
Look how creepy the house is.
Building. The walls were dirty,
huge,
covered in graffiti and plants. Most of the windows were broken, though that didn't help us see what was inside. After a few seconds, we approached the stairs. The front door was open and somewhat broken, so we could get in through there. We had to make our way up the stairs, as there was rubble along with the dirt and dust. So, the four of us stood still once we were at the door of the building.
Got enough time to run back,
Go first, Steve. It was your idea. You're not scared, are you? Of course I was. At least a little. Now that we were there, I felt less excited, but I refused to admit it, so I went inside. Everything looked as expected. There wasn't much furniture, and what was still there was useless, broken, and full of mold. There was also graffiti drawn on the walls and floors, almost all of which were obscene words or drawings.
Gross.
At another time, I would have found it funny, but not right now. Suddenly, there was a loud noise behind us. The door had been closed with great force, which startled us. Ethan, Matthew, and I looked at our friend, the last to enter, with annoyance. What? It was just a little joke. Once we inspected the entrance, we went to the other rooms. In all of them, there seemed to be exactly the same thing as the previous ones, which quickly bored me. For some reason, I expected there to be something more interesting in this place. It was actually quite simple, but perhaps I had judged the building too quickly. My heart started beating fast when I saw Ethan walk into the room at the end of the hall and stand still. The expression of fear and confusion on his face was unsettling. Quickly, the rest of us approached. "Go away" was written on one of the walls in red. The paint looked very shiny, as if it were fresh.
Let me turn this
Suddenly,
too loud
Christopher started laughing.
Too loud.
You see your faces? You guys are seriously scared? Our friend walked over to the letters.
Man is way too bold.
Then he showed us his hand, which was dry. Some asshole painted it to scare people. See? You guys are a joke.
It's dripping down.
It was pretty obvious, actually. But being in a place like this, with such a mysterious atmosphere and abandoned appearance, made you paranoid. Still, we soon started to feel comfortable and began to split up to explore. I was the first one who decided to go up to the second floor.
They breaking up?
From the moment I put one of my feet on that floor, an awful smell reached my nose. It was like something was rotting. which gave me goosebumps.
That's a dead body.
What more could there be than a body? More out of morbidity and curiosity than anything else, I followed the stench, which seemed to come from the second room. I slowly poked my head into the room. Seconds later, I felt vomit in my throat, wanting to come out. There was a dead animal on the spot. Perhaps it was a cat, or perhaps a small dog.
Man,
the truth was
dead.
that it was in a state of decomposition, in which it was very difficult to distinguish what it was. It wasn't human, but it was very horrible to see. The worst thing, in fact, was that it had no eyes, just two black holes in what had once been its face.
The maggots ate it, bro.
Ugh. I tried very hard not to vomit. Having my mouth stink of acid and food wouldn't be nice on the way home. Suddenly, I heard a sound behind me, coming from the first room.
Oh.
Ugh, Chris, stop it. I was already tired of Christopher's jokes. I couldn't believe he kept trying to scare us like that. When I heard the sound again, I was finally furious. Chris, enough already. Stop it. I quickly approached the first room in the hall. The fury I felt was replaced by fear as soon as I saw what was inside. I told you to go away.
Time to go,
Could be
bruh.
seen on the wall this time. I thought it was another joke.
It's giving you a chance.
Course, but then I couldn't see the paint dripping off the letters. This time, it was fresh. I stood there a few seconds, breathless, frozen, until I was able to react. Guys! I ran down the stairs while screaming. Soon the others, alerted, arrived.
I'm leaving out
You
the
got
house. I'm letting them stay in.
Just when I was going to tell them to get out of there, we started to hear some voices outside the building. One of them shouted that we shouldn't be there. The other then yelled for us to go away. Perhaps it was the police.
Yeah.
We all looked scared at each other, except Matthew, who made a sign with his hand for us to follow him. As quietly as possible,
to the exit.
we walked to a room at the back of the building. We managed to close the door, which thankfully wasn't broken, and looked around the room. Apparently, this one had another door that seemed like an exit, since it was closed. Matthew's plan was for me to open it, since I had a certain skill at doing that. Not because I used it, but because it entertained me. I took out a small piece of metal that I had brought just in case and started. Quick, quick! I'm on it. It was taking me longer than usual because, apart from being nervous and under pressure, I had the strange feeling that something behind the door was watching me. Almost.
Probably is.
The door finally gave way. I started to open it when I was able to notice that the air inside was dense. It wasn't a way out. Go away! A scream went out from the room when we were able to see what was inside. Terrified, I walked backwards, but tripped and fell to the ground.
You shouldn't be here. Escape.
In that small room, which did not even have windows, there were two corpses that at this point were nothing more than bones. Still, it was obvious that these were people. Terrified, the four of us ran out of that room. We didn't care if the police were outside. We just did it. But as we ran to the entrance, it began to tremble. The walls started shaking. The rubble began to fall.
Stuck?
One of them hit my arm, but I kept going, despite everything. Luckily, we got away with just a few bumps and scratches. To our surprise, no one else was around. In the end, we decided to inform the police, despite everything.
They got super lucky.
Inspecting the scene and the bones, they discovered that they belonged to a young woman who had disappeared a long time ago and a man who had escaped from prison. Since there were only bones left, they couldn't figure out exactly what had happened, but there were theories based on some evidence. There was a chain on the wall, and the door was full of scratches. There were also traces of some very old blood on the floor. The conclusion was that the man had kidnapped her, perhaps to torture or rape her. Somehow, the woman would have managed to hurt him, but during the fight, she was also seriously injured. In her state, she couldn't open the door and died.
Dang.
Meanwhile, all I could think about was what the voices said that day. Go away, and you shouldn't be here. Escape. Perhaps the man didn't want us to discover his crime, like the cowardly rat that he was. And I'd like to think that maybe the young woman wanted to protect us.
Young woman? Bro, the young woman was dead. What? What? Bro. They got lucky, bro. They got off the hook with this one, man. They got super lucky. All they saw was what was it? A sign. The writing on the wall go away, and a decomposed dog, cat. I don't know what it is. I ain't gonna lie, but they got off super lucky, bro. They got off super lucky. Even still, even though they ain't really see nothing too crazy, they still shouldn't have been in there, man. They don't got no business, no type business to be in there. Like I said, bro, if you want to have some dopamine rushing in your brain about some scary stuff, just look at it online, bro. And it's in the comfort of your own home, bro. That's the only way I'm gonna have any type of attachment with the scary stuff, man. Is this right here, watching the video. That's it. I don't want to explore no haunted house, no spooky joint, none of that. I'm okay. I'm perfectly fine sitting my little black booty on this chair watching scary videos. Facts.
My name is Adam, and I'm a paranormal investigator. Along with friends, Elsa and Derek, we started a YouTube channel called The Paranorpals, where we explored haunted houses and places where evidence of the existence of an afterlife has been reported.
Holy.
To be honest, we never found anything. The most we ever saw were things moving or strange voices, but nothing too real. Everything could be an act of our imagination or just a simple coincidence. After a while, all the cursed places started to look the same. They were just abandoned houses or public places full of graffiti. The guys and I started to lose hope of finding ghosts and concentrated on making our YouTube channel look as real as possible, even fabricating some of the scares or adding fake psychophone sounds.
Oh, nah.
Everything was going well until one day, we received an anonymous email from a viewer. The mail said that this abandoned house was the cause of the disappearance of more than 20 people and was one of the most diabolical places in the country. Searched the internet with my team. Not only did we see that the house was real, but that no one had made videos about it. We packed our bags, and in just one day, we were there. We couldn't miss this opportunity. Wow, for a haunted house, it is sure well kept. Derek may have said it, but Elsa and I were thinking exactly the same thing. The house was pretty much the same as when it was built, according to the Google photos.
It looked nice, though.
Just a little dirtier. The place was very big and in the middle of nowhere, almost 3 kilometers away by road from its neighbors. After taking some pictures of it from different angles, we decided to go inside. The front door was mysteriously open, but the place was abandoned, so it didn't attract our attention. The house was very dirty inside, full of dust and spider webs. Other than that, it was in perfect condition.
Oh, no, bro. Imagine them statues just got up and just start full sprinting at them, man. That would be terrifying. Just with the sword, just swinging at them, full sprint. At that point, what do you do? I don't know.
The furniture wasn't broken, and it hadn't been vandalized. The walls were painted a deep white that had turned to gray with dust. But there was no sign of any graffiti.
Are my eyes deceiving me? Finally, a haunted house where 12-year-olds haven't been painting the walls.
More respect to the 12-year-olds. They are basically our audience, I said with a joking tone. Hey, ghost of the haunted house. You guys are adults, right? Follow us on YouTube. Derek shouted jokingly, and we all laughed.
All right.
Well, how are we gonna do this, guys?
It's gonna come.
I suggest we take some pictures and do some tests here, and then go to the first floor. It looks a little more creepy.
Hey, Derek, remember what I told you in the van? If I put up a doll or move something around, pretend you didn't see anything. That way, people figure things out on their own, and we have a reason to stay in the house.
Whatever you say, you're royalty. We took some pictures and made up some scares.
I can't.
Everything was going as expected, and we decided to head to the first floor. But a noise stopped us. We turned around and saw a hooded figure, locking the door, turning around, and looking at us. No, you can't go out, he said to us in a mocking tone. Before we could react, 5 men were behind us. One of them grabbed Elsa by the neck and held her tightly, immobilizing her.
Damn,
2 others grabbed my arms and threw me to the ground in a very professional manner. These people were not vandals. They knew what they were doing. Derek, in a panic, looked around for somewhere to run. He took a few steps to the side, but two of the people in robes stepped out from the shadows and grabbed him from behind.
They're finna take your butt.
Who are you? Why are you doing this to us? I shouted in desperation. When we're here, none of us have names. Little ghost hunter, I'm sorry. I can't answer that question. Let go of me, you fucking asshole.
All they had to
Come
do was
on,
just stay
attack me
home.
one at a time. I'll kill you all and I'll shove the fucking hood up your asses. Derek shouted in desperation. Ignoring my friend's
They could've
threat,
just stayed home,
the
man.
hooded man continued to talk to me. For your luck, Adam, I can answer you the second question. He paused to clear his throat and kept talking. The reason why we are doing this to you is that only you guys were stupid enough to come alone and unarmed to a house where people disappear. Seriously, how did this seem like a good idea to you?
That's what I said.
We just wanted to entertain people.
Ah, they about to entertain.
I know. And we have a lot in common. We also have an audience to entertain.
Yeah.
What?
Enough talk. Let the show begin, guys. And as soon as he said this, one of the men pulled out a camera and began filming Derek. Meanwhile, another approached him with scissors in his hands. Hey, what are you doing, you sick fuck? Get away from me! Let go of me
About to
now!
cut his tongue?
I'll kill you all! Derek shouted, almost in tears. Without paying attention to him, the man walked towards him and plunged the scissors into his belly,
Whoa.
making circles with superhuman strength. Derek was no longer struggling to free himself, so he was released. As he fell to the floor, the two people holding him plunged their hands into his abdomen, pulling out all the organs and throwing them away. I didn't know what was happening. I turned and saw Elsa was about to vomit, but quickly, the man holding her acted and put a sock in her mouth. The
Oh!
camera was on her now. She was trying her hardest to vomit with no success,
Oh!
as she choked on her own vomit. The man who had put the sock
Dang!
on her held her nose tightly. My friend's body began to swell, and her hands went up desperately back and forth, searching without luck for something to help her escape.
Sarah gone.
Hey, what you're doing is rude. Poor Elsa can't breathe. Why don't you help her? As if following an order, the man took out a small knife and made a huge hole in her neck, which splurted blood and vomit.
Oh!
Elsa didn't fight anymore, and her eyes closed. Oh, Elsa.
That's
I'm
sick.
sorry. Even if you don't believe me, I got attached to them too. Just like your little sister, Adam. What? What?
Hey, no sister.
I'll tell you how your adventure continues, Mr. Paranormal Investigator. He kept saying with a sarcastic tone. Now, you're going to go home and say that you were in a fight with your friends and they pulled you out of the van. You weren't here. Don't worry about the police. No one will bother you, and no one will ask you questions. We made sure of that. Who are you? From now on, you will never be alone, Adam. If you try to investigate us, go to the police or tell anyone about this. Your little sister, parents, aunts, uncles, even your pet, they all die.
Dang.
With that said, the hooded man opened the door, and the other two let me go. Terrified, I walked towards the exit.
It gotta be somebody
To
he
the
knows.
eyes of all these people who were just staring at me. Before I left, the one who was talking stopped me one more time. One last thing. You are also forbidden to leave your job as a ghost hunter. Our viewers are a bit morbid and they all agreed that they wanted to see you looking for your friends' ghosts. So, you already have an idea for your next video, he said, laughing.
Wait.
We will send you a video of today's show. After all, you are one of the protagonists. You will only get to see it once. If you try to record it or show it to anyone, we will know. Goodbye, Adam.
Dang.
If you ever find us on the deep web, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Dang.
After that, I just left
Life screwed.
and drove as far as I could, without looking back. A few weeks later, my YouTube channel mysteriously became much more successful. No matter how little effort I put into them, my videos went viral. I don't watch my own videos, because even though I've never managed to capture a ghost, my subscribers sometimes see strange people hiding, just watching me.
Oh, man. That's it. That's 3 creepy place horror stories animated. I ain't gonna, these were creepy, bro. All 3 stories would have been simply resolved if they just kept their little happy butts home, man. That's all you had to do, just stay home, bro. Just like, well, you don't have to go explore. You don't have to go out and see, man. Stay in the house like me, bro. 23/7. That's it. To get and then get 1 hour of sunlight. That's it. That's it, bro. I just don't understand how hard that is. But Quaymax, they just want to go and see something paranormal. I don't see why. I do not see why. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't know what to do, Quaymax, aka your favorite scaredy cat. Oh, yeah.